Electric soup kitchen.
He's with aliens in outer space. With the saturation turned right up, I still believe in magic and life on Mars. Connie Flash Gordon and Captain Kirk, as they trail a signal from planet Earth. There's tremors in the ground below, cracks appear and lava flows, yeah. It's not automatic to be diplomatic, trying not to cause a scene, doesn't really help now when you go and turn your laser gun at me. Things are getting tragic, you need a kind of magic. This is gonna hurt now, total global meltdown. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, catastrophe. I see the earth below, the sun that melts the snow. All the ships at sea, they sank, you know. I wanna be in an 80s sci-fi movie. I wanna be in an 80s sci-fi movie. I wanna be in an 80s sci-fi movie. The latex turns to flesh and bone. Our senses fall to once they grow, yeah. Doesn't really help now when you go and turn your laser gun. Help me, help me, help me. Things are getting tragic, you need a kind of magic. This is gonna hurt now, total global meltdown. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. This is gonna hurt now, total global meltdown. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, catastrophe. Our fuel is running low, cars and planes won't go. Now fantasy's reality, you know. If this blue planet continues to fall, we need a comet from the sky to destroy it all. Lost faith in the human race, and back the race to the lasers and the apes. This blue planet continues to fall. I wanna break the focus and the fireball. You've lost faith in the human race, and back the race to the lasers and the apes. I wanna break the planet continues to fall. Sci-fi coming from the sky to destroy it all. I wanna break in an 80s sci-fi movie. The race to the lasers and the apes. I wanna break the planet continues to fall. I wanna break the focus and the fireball. I lost faith in the human race, and back the race to the lasers and the apes.
Richard,
Marcus.
it's 10:48 in London, England.
It's 5:49 in Schuylerville, New York.
Sunny Schuylerville last month.
It was last month. It's still kind of sunny. Obviously very dark this morning, but good weather. It was end of summer.
That song we started with was called 80s Sci-Fi Movie, and it was by Black Black. They're a London band. Black Black creates spookily irresistible grooves, a churning thrum that borrows from Velvet Underground, Joy Division, and Joseph K. Gorgeously mad sounds. I like that song. We'll play a bit more, another one of their songs at the end of the podcast. They're also playing the Metro Club on Oxford Street in London on Friday the 12th of October. But they're on first, so if you want to go see them, you'll need to get there early. They're also doing a mini tour of America next March. I don't know, I haven't got any dates for that, but you can go to their MySpace page, Black Black London, or their webpage, www.blackblack.us. But yeah, I like that song. It's good. I think it's clever and catchy. And as my grandma would say, it's got a good beat.
Is that something she would say?
No, yeah, old grandparents say that, don't they? It's got a good beat.
Yeah.
Don't know why.
They seem to have a book of phrases.
Anyway, it's back to normal this month. We've got all the normal stuff that we usually have. Ripley's Believe It or Not, computer game reviews, 1 Minute Mysteries. But next month is Halloween. So we're going to do another Halloween special next month. I'm hoping, Richard, to do something extra special for the Halloween special.
What's that?
Would you remember I mentioned to you about there being a possibility of spending a night in a haunted house?
Oh, right. Has that come up?
It's maybe. Yeah, I've got to find out. I got a friend who looks after this house. It's empty, supposedly haunted, and he's got the keys. So there's a chance that I could get in there and do it live from there. You can get Wi-Fi in there, so I might be able to do it if he will let me. We'll see, but that could be next month, so that could be fun.
That'll be really good.
Truth is stranger than fiction. And this is the proof. This is Ripley's Believe It or Not.
George Washington, during his entire 2 terms as President of the United States, refused to shake hands. He always bowed in the belief that a handshake was beneath the dignity of a president. Believe it or not. In a moment, I'll tell you about the most considerate uncle. Richard Dawson of Bradley, England, was probably the most considerate uncle in history. He was a very large man, so on his deathbed he worried that his 300-pound body would be an inconvenience to his frail nephew after he died. So, to spare his nephew the trouble, Dawson walked out to the garden where he dug his own grave. After he had finished digging, he laid down in the grave and he died. Believe it or not.
Film and television.
October or this month is the start of all the new season television programs in America, isn't it?
Yeah, more towards the end of this month they'll start to kick in. There's the new Bionic Woman, which actually looks quite good from the trailers I've seen.
Yeah.
And of course there's the new Terminator TV series, which actually sounds quite good as well.
That's called the Sarah... What's her surname?
Connor.
The Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Yeah, that's a bit of a daft name.
Yeah. I know there's a flood of TV programs, isn't there, every year in America, and they just see what sticks, basically.
Yeah.
You got into watching a thing called Jericho, which was about the nuclear attack on America or something, but a small town.
Yeah, it started off well, but I got bored of it. I think it's still on. I believe it's still on. I don't know if they've got a second series this year.
Well, what happened is...
series out.
Well, what happened is it was cancelled, the first series, and the fans got an online petition together, and they did this campaign called Nuts to CBS, and they sent boxes of nuts to CBS television, I think it was CBS, to finish off the story, and eventually CBS said, all right, we'll do it, and they put up money for 3 or 4 more episodes just to round the story off.
All right. I wish they'd done that with Angel. I just came to a very crashing end.
Well, I didn't used to watch Angel, but is that the same thing happened?
But no, I think it's getting good reviews and stuff. But I think there's some stories you can track down that the actual network wasn't that happy with Joss Whedon, the director, and stuff. And there's some falling outs over that, and so he had to just stop the series short and write one episode where it's sort of just let's go fight the bad guys, and that's where it ends.
So it never got resolved?
No, they just rush off against the hordes of evil.
Because the same thing happened with his series Firefly, and then he made the film Serenity, didn't he? Which supposedly rounded it all off, I think.
Yeah, Serenity's very good.
I haven't seen it. Why is it so good?
That's right. Just his usual high standard, very good writing, very good story. Stories within stories and everything. Nice thread running through everything. Same with because I'm watching some of the old Buffy's, which is very sort of geeky type of thing to do, but some of the stories are very good in the way he keeps something going throughout a whole series, coming back to things. Yeah,
I think Russell T Davies has taken a lot from Buffy and stuff like that into the new Doctor Who, especially the long-term story arc, if I can use that phrase.
Please do.
I put Toy Story on the other day for Franklin, and Joss Whedon is credited as one of the writers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that must be one of his very early jobs. So, yeah, with all the new season of television programs and Halloween coming, Rob Zombie made a remake of John Carpenter's 1978 classic Richard film Halloween. So, of course, they released that last week.
It was very strange. Especially, like I say, it came over here at the weekend.
Yeah.
Why they didn't go for October, the whole Halloween thing, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. The scary film on Halloween, released on Halloween, about Halloween, makes a sort of sense. But there was a version, a work print, an early sort of cut of the film was leaked on the internet, and you got a chance to see that. So
I did.
You being the fan of the original, tell us how the remake stacks up.
I was really looking forward to it because the original is very, very good. I always liked the story and everything about it. But also it was a big disappointment, second one, because rather than going with the whole sort of myth and legend of Halloween and urban myths and this sort of killer, supernatural killer almost in a way. Yeah. They went more into just trying to explain why Michael was like he was and make it very real. He had an abusive stepfather, he had troubles at schools, and trying to give a reason as to why he became that way.
So, he's what turned him into a psychopath, where in the first one, he's not really a psychopath. He's just like some killing machine. There's no... You never get a sense that there's any logic or reasoning in the first one, do you?
Exactly. It's just, as his doctor says, it's pure evil. Yeah. And that's all you get to see. And that's what I was sort of scary about him. It's just, he has this idea of his pure evil, has this pure intent. And all he's done for 15 years is think about killing his sister. That's all he's been focused on, nothing else.
Yeah.
And that's all that's possessed him is this idea to go and kill his sister. And he lets nothing stand in his way of that.
Yeah.
Almost like a shark. It's just his primitive. That's all he does is kill.
Yeah. And in this one, it's like there's some sort of payback then, or he's angry.
Yeah, but it's also like I say very sort of cliched. He comes from a bad background. He had a rough life, and now he's a killer. And that's the other thing as well. Like at the end, they just basically shoot him, and that's it.
They do shoot him in the original.
In the original, he gets shot but then they go to get him and he's disappeared.
Yeah, which is sort of makes you think that maybe
Yeah.
he is
And,
like the
yeah,
bogeyman.
and there's
or
that
something.
line, was that the bogeyman?
Yeah,
And says, yes, it is. No, it is. It's the urban legend come to life in Michael Myers. In this one, they just shoot him dead. The police shoot him, so it just turns him into a killer.
and they don't. When the police shoot him, they don't say, "Was that the bogeyman?" They get, "Nah, just shot him."
No, well, that actually line comes earlier, which is one of the only few jumps in the film. She asks that of Malcolm McDowell, who is an actor I really like. He's very good, but this one just seems to be, he needed a new car or a new extension to the house.
Yeah.
He just really phoned it in. Because, she asks, is that the bogeyman? And he goes into, well, I do believe you may be right. I think he was. It's like, what? And then Michael smashes in the car and drags her out. But yeah, it was a very strange film. It's like, they tried to explain certain things like where his boiler suit came from.
Who cares? Do you know what I mean? Where the boiler suit comes from? It's not. That's not necessarily.
Yeah.
It's sort of interesting if you're really into the original in a geeky way, but it doesn't make it a better film or a good film.
No, because they do a thing where the Michael Myers mask that we all know from the originals.
Yeah.
He finds a young boy and he wears that when he kills his sister. And so when he comes back looking for his younger sister, he goes back to the house and he's hidden the original mask and the original knife under a floorboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, which might just sort of fall into serial killer sort of fetishistic keeping trophies and using the same thing. But so now he's going around with this sort of slightly corroded, cracked, and dirty mask.
Yeah.
Whereas that was the other great thing about the first one, in that you just had this very blank, plain mask with no expression on it whatsoever, which again fitted with the idea of he's just, he's a very emotionless. There's no emotions going on. He's just there to kill.
Well, do you know what that mask actually was in the first one? And they actually went out and bought it in a shop. Do you know what it was supposed to be?
Was it an old Ronald Reagan one or something? Or Nixon?
William Shatner. It was a Captain Kirk mask. And they just
that
went out and
explains the
bought it.
expressions then.
Friends, this is Bob Hope. If an atom bomb were to hit your home city, would you know what to do? Remember, one explosion of an atom bomb could kill 75,000 and maim 100,000. This is only one kind of a disaster which could strike. In addition to many forms of enemy action, there are the dangers of fire, flood, earthquake, and traffic. Knowing what to do before, during, and after a disaster can improve your chances of survival. There is something you can do and do now. You can learn a pattern of survival. Your local Office of Civil Defense is ready to help. Persuade your club, your church, your friends, and your neighbors to help to learn to live. Remember, this is the atomic age. No one can escape its hazards, but everyone can prepare. Listen carefully. What you are about to hear can save your life. Do you know the siren signal in case of atomic attack? Do you know how to find shelter? Do you know how to give first aid? Do you know what will be done for your safety? For further details, consult your local Office of Civil Defense.
Right, I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan. I watched the original, haven't really watched any of the spin-offs. I think I've probably seen nearly all of the films. But there was a fan film that was premiered. Well, it was actually the third fan film, but this one got the biggest premiere on the internet and at a cinema in Los Angeles a few weeks ago, called World Enough and Time. And it's quite an amazing story behind how this guy had made this film. And he even got George Takei in it, who played Sulu, reprising his role as Sulu. Did you manage to see it?
I couldn't, for some reason, I couldn't get the third one to download, so I downloaded some of their earlier ones. Is he a carpenter? And he just decided to make all these sets inside his house, and then he decided, maybe I can make my own episodes.
Well, it wasn't in his house. I'll tell you a bit of information about him. He's called James Corley, and he spent more than $100,000 in an abandoned car dealership in Port Henry, New York. I don't know if you know where that is.
No?
But yeah, he spent $100,000 building a near flawless recreation of the interiors of the original Enterprise, the 60s Enterprise. And then he got together with his friends and started filming new episodes. And the first one, I watched the first one as well, which I think was called Come What May. And that shows it's, that it's fan-made, that one. But still, the sets and everything look good. But then he got such an interest out of these that he's been able to get ex-actors from Star Trek to appear in them. And he's done one with Chekhov. Did you see that one then?
I saw the start of that one, and it says that was the time one. Then so the start of the Chekhov one where it starts to age. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the first one's very rough.
Yeah.
But the story actually wasn't that bad.
No.
I think he actually does make a good Kirk.
Yeah.
For a Elvis impersonator. There's obviously something there. Bit of Elvis in Kirk.
Well, he's totally living out his fantasy. I mean, he's even got the original actors from a show that he must love so much, and he's writing scenes and he's performing scenes with them in this set he's built himself. It's an incredible story, I think.
Yeah.
The one that was premiered the other week, World Enough and Time. That's the one with George Takei. It's got something like 700 effect shots in it, and the effects have all been done by Universal's Studios training school for digital effects. So the effects look great. All the ships, and there's a scene on a ship that's collapsing. The effects look great. Sulu looks good. He turns up, he gets catapulted into the past, and he's for him, it's like he's been away for 40 years. So for them, it's like he's been away for 3 minutes. So when he comes back, he's all like Mad Max, and he's got long hair, and it's the original actor, and he's a bit of a savage. So, and he's chewing the scenery as this Sulu the Savage. But I would definitely, if you can find them out, if it sounds interesting, I would definitely go have a look at them, because they're the best fan films that I've ever seen, really. And if you're a Star Trek fan on top of all that, you should definitely go have a look. Yeah, Star Trek The New Voyages, if you do a search for that. And there's loads of information there.
I'll say it's actually StarTrekNewVoyages.com.
StarTrekNewVoyages.com. And you can see all these episodes. There's 2 more coming, and they've got Denise Crosby is in one of the new ones. They've got writers from the original shows writing on them now. And it's probably as Star Trek-y as it can get without actually being Star Trek. And it's even got the blessing of I think it's Paramount that own the Star Trek copyright, and it might be even Viacom. But they said as long as they don't profit from them, they can do them. I say good luck to him. He must be having the time of his life.
Yeah, like I say, it does come across a lot in it.
Yeah.
A lot of passion there.
Although, if I have to find a criticism, have you heard Scotty's accent?
Which one? He seems to give a full range of Celtic, Irish accents.
In the World Enough and Time, the new one, the third one, Scotty's got quite a big part in it. And yeah, he's got all the Scottish cliches and a terrible accent. So Scotty, if I do have to have a criticism, Scotty's a bit of a weak link. But like you say, Kirk's good. The guy playing Spock's good.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to watch. You're just watching it.
Being very quiet about the Doctor.
Bones, well, I mean, he's not a bit like Bones, really, is he?
No.
I think Bones was probably my favourite. Anyway, go have a look at that, especially if you're into Star Trek. I found a web page. Well, it was actually a blogger or a blog page, but 55bells.blogspot.com. And this guy has been posting cult films, rare films, Japanese sci-fi, and he's been doing it for over a year now. And it's just a treasure trove of cult films that you can download and watch. There's some great stuff on there. There's the Japanese Spider-Man, which in the 70s, the Japanese TV made a Spider-Man TV series, which is better than the American one. Do you remember the American one?
I do. Wasn't they stopping some students making an atomic bomb at one point?
Yeah, but he just used to leaping through windows and do a lot of kung fu, didn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't really do a lot of climbing up buildings or swinging around. And he had those mirror, his eyes, spidey eyes, had like mirror shades on them. Anyway, I didn't like it. But the Japanese one is good. And halfway through every episode in the Japanese one, he turns into a giant robot and fights a monster in a little cardboard cityscape. So that's an improvement, I'd say. But there's tons of stuff on there. There's tons of like old British comedies, anthology horror films from the 70s with like Tom Baker in and all stuff like that. What else is on there? Abducted by the Daleks is on there.
Oh, so that's where you got it from.
That is a classic. If anybody's under 18, don't go to 55 Bells. And especially if you're under 18 and a Doctor Who fan, don't go download Abducted by the Daleks. Go do something wholesome instead. It's a sort of Dalek soft porn movie. Oh, just a minute, Richard. I've just got to go out the door. Keep talking.
Well, like Mike says, it's a soft porn version of a Doctor Who story. There's no Doctor Who, but there's plenty of Daleks. Which is a strange way. It's always nice to see Daleks. They capture Earthwomen in the hopes of enslaving them and learning more about us. There's lots of claims of probing to be done, interrogation and torture, but none of this is ever seen. It's very, very soft. Very, very badly made. It's like it's made in someone's garage and backyard.
Yeah, I'm back. But it's probably the Daleks' best adventure yet.
I'm sure it was for them. I've never had so much fun.
Anyway, that's 55 Bells. Go have a look at that.
Ellery Queen's Minute Mysteries. This is Ellery Queen with the case I call the psychological error. Police were befuddled by the story of a man named Ames who said he had shot his neighbor in a fit of complete terror and fear. Ames said his neighbor had approached him while he, Ames, was out shooting. The neighbor had repeatedly threatened me, Ames said, and in panic, my reflexes told me to fire. I told him I didn't know where he was getting his reflexes tested, but they weren't working. In a moment, the rest of the story. In the case of the psychological error, a shooting by reflex as a result of fear is not reasonable. Reflexes are the result of conditioning. The murderer tried to fool me with psychology, but I psyched him instead. Listen again to Ellery Queen's Minute Mysteries.
Computer game reviews.
Oliver.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Don't sound very happy.
What?
You don't sound very happy.
Well, been at school and it was rubbish.
This is your first day back at school after the summer holidays.
No, that was last Wednesday.
Why was it rubbish?
Because my art teacher wasn't there, so we had a substitute, and they didn't know what to do, so they gave us a sheet of paper that was full of writing, and she just said, copy that.
Oh.
And then I had to do it as homework, because I didn't finish it.
Is this bad day at school going to affect the quality of your review?
I don't know. Probably not.
Probably not.
Mm.
I don't know, you sound very sad.
Mm.
All right, well, you're going to do Way to Blue, but you changed your mind, didn't you?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Animal Crossing for the Nintendo DS.
Go for it.
We start off in the back of a taxi, and every other character except from yourself are like animals, like cross with humans. And you start off in the back of a taxi and you can't see yourself, and the taxi driver's asking you loads of questions, which like so many answers, turn out to what you're going to look like and where you're going to go and stuff. And then you say a town name, just make one up, and then the town that you go within, that's what it's called.
Right.
And then...
So wait a minute, at the very start of the game, you're like half human, half
No, every other character except from yourself is like an animal.
Oh, so you're not an animal, but you can't see yourself, so why is that important?
You can't see yourself at the beginning until you get out of the taxi, and then you are like human.
Alright, okay. So that's not important at all.
Well, I don't know. And then you start living like a proper life, like you got to pay off a loan for your house, and it gets like a bigger loan every time because your house gets bigger, and you buy all sorts of tools like fishing rods and nets and shovels, and you can dig up fossils and catch fish and
Wait
stuff.
a minute.
What?
Is this the most boring game in the world?
No, it's quite a good one.
Wait a minute. You start off in a taxi, and it says where you going, and you make up a town. It takes you there. You buy a house and go fishing.
It's quite good because you can get some of these animals that also live in the town to say stupid things, like they say, "What's hip nowadays?"
Yeah.
And I just told one of them, "What's that?" So every time he sees me now, he says that, and you can.
So every time you see this animal, it says "What's up" to you.
Yeah. But you can, if you've got so many DSs together, you can play together if you all got the same game, and you all visit each other's towns because they're all different because of what you do. And it is pretty boring when you come to think of it.
Yeah, it is boring. How many thumbs up do you give it?
6.
6?
Yeah.
Shall I tell you how many I give it? I don't give it any, and I haven't even played it.
Well,
-2 thumbs.
I haven't been playing on it much, so I got another game for my Xbox.
Alright, so what are you doing next month?
Don't know. I could do my new Xbox game. It's Saints Row.
Saints Row for the Xbox. What was the boring talking to animals game? What was that for the DS?
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing for the DS. Now, you were going to go out and do me some interviews for people UFO stories, weren't you? What happened to them?
Why didn't I?
Yeah.
I don't know. I forgot.
Yeah, but you got your mum to buy you a new MP3 player.
I know.
But what?
I didn't get around to it.
Do you think you can get round to it before the next issue, or ghost stories? Because it's Halloween next issue, so we need ghost stories as well.
Well, I'll try and do that because I'm back at school now, aren't I? So I can get a lot more.
Just do it. No excuses.
Alright.
Alright then. Anything else?
Don't think so.
Well, hopefully by next month you'll have cheered up a little bit.
Mhm.
Alright, talk to you later.
Alright, bye.
Bye. News stories. Did you have any news stories?
No, I didn't, I'm afraid. I had a look, but I couldn't really find much. It's been very quiet in the States.
It's very quiet in the United States for news.
Yeah, everything's obviously all about General Petraeus and making withdrawals.
There was a few stories that caught my eye very quickly. It was the Edinburgh Festival last month in August, and there was a headline, "Dwarf's penis gets stuck to vacuum cleaner," which was a dwarf who performed in the Circus of Horrors, I think it was called. But Daniel Blackner, or Captain Dan the Demon Dwarf, he was due to perform, and the vacuum cleaner that he did a trick with broke, and he fixed it with super glue. Then he went on stage and did his trick, and it got glued to his penis, and he had to go to accident and emergency with a vacuum cleaner glued to him. There's also a picture to go with that story that I'll put in the, not with the vacuum cleaner attached, just a picture of him. I think it's him. It's the picture that I saw with it when I saw it online. So I'll stick that in the player window. He said, "I just wish the ground could swallow me up. Luckily, they saw me quickly, so the embarrassment was short-lived." I suppose he's saying, yeah, luckily he wasn't sat around in accident and emergency. The other thing that I read was about a Japanese biker who failed to notice his leg had been severed below the knee when he hit a safety barrier and rode for 2 kilometres, that's nearly 1.5 miles, and his friend had to pick up the missing limb. He was a 54-year-old office worker who was out on his motorcycle with a group of friends in the city of Hamatsu, west of Tokyo, when he was unable to negotiate a curve in the road and bumped into the central barrier. He felt excruciating pain but did not notice that his leg was missing. The man and his leg were taken to hospital, but the leg had been crushed in the collision. So that's incredible that he went for all that time with just one leg. You'd think that he would have looked down, or you would have thought it would have affected his balance as well, wouldn't you?
Well, it's amazing how shock he must have been in.
Yeah.
To not even realise what had happened.
He's probably in a bigger amount of shock when he realised he only had one leg.
He fell sideways off his bike.
Yeah, when he stopped. Probably stopped at the petrol station and tried to get off.
Oh, I just covered Twix.
What the hell? And then the other thing that I saw was an odd one. It's a spooky one. I should have maybe saved this for Halloween next month, but it was in Warsaw, a Polish crime writer who was jailed for 25 years after authorities found that he'd committed a murder that he'd also described in one of his books. In 2003, he wrote a book called Amok. And this guy, Christiana Bala, described in detail the brutal murder of a Polish businessman. And the police found that the crime in the book had similarities with a case in 2000. So he wrote the book 3 years after he committed the murder. But in 2000, a body was fished out of the river in Oder, in the town of Wroclaw, near the German border. And the prosecutors say that Bala, the writer, had humiliated, tortured and starved and later killed his victims. His victim was only one of them. But yeah, he tortured, starved and later killed his victim. And this was somebody who'd had a love affair with his wife. So he'd killed this guy who'd had an affair with his wife and then put it in his book. And the court, he got 25 years for that, so... Yeah, I don't know, it's weird, mate. I don't know if he was doing it because he wanted to get caught, or maybe he just forgot all about it and then sat there one day and thought, I've got a great idea for a book.
Well, it's quite an ego, isn't it, in a way?
Yeah, it's almost like bragging about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I bet it was. I mean, if you're a crime writer, I bet you sort of imagine that you can commit the perfect crime.
But he did until
he put it in his book.
Two together.
Yeah, till the police read his book.
Well, there was one thing I wanted to mention here in America. I think we've touched on something similar before. There's an elementary school in Colorado that's banned TIG
right
from the playground after some children complained they were harassed or chased against their will.
So they were forced to play TIG.
Yeah. So now the kids are allowed to run as long as they don't chase each other.
Right, so it was like a game of TIG that spilled over into some sort of mass game of TIG against your will. But if you're not playing TIG, you can't really play TIG against your will, can you?
No, they just touch you.
Yeah, you just feel like, yeah, so what? I'm not playing TIG.
These kids felt compelled and forced to run.
So they complained and it's been banned.
Yeah.
I always preferred TIG off ground to TIG.
Yeah, off ground, that was always good.
Yeah. A bit more creative, wasn't it?
Back in those days, we had proper climbing frames you could fall off the top of and break your arm.
Death traps, yeah. In primary schools. Brick walls and stuff like that.
But yeah, it's a... You always hear about the nanny state and everything. It's such a strange thing to ban kids running around.
Well, it sounds like it's sort of a precaution against being sued, isn't it? If my child was tigged against their will and now has nightmares and is unable to go anywhere without fear of being tigged in public.
I know, but I just remember playing like British Bulldogs Charge and stuff like that, which was a hell of a lot rougher than Tig.
Well, I used to love British Bulldogs. I mean, stuff like British Bulldogs and Tig off ground, stuff that don't require a lot of athletic ability, was the stuff that I enjoyed.
Yeah, and that everyone could join in with.
British Bulldogs was a rough game, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that did end up getting banned at our school because a couple of kids broke arms and legs.
They broke arms and legs playing British Bulldogs?
Yeah.
That is a rough school. Do they call it TIG in America?
I think it's tag.
Tag.
Yeah.
They have to be different, don't they?
I know.
Anyway, do you fancy a bit of Unky Dunky?
Why not?
All right, I always feel I have to explain Unky Dunky just in case somebody's listening and has never heard it before, but yeah, he's a New York butcher who self-financed his own comedy album and put far too much fake laughter and sound effects over the top. And we try and play a bit of him from every now and again, so here he is, Unky Dunky.
Ladies and gentlemen, comic sensation of the nation, Unky Dunky the Bologna Slicer. Unky Dunky. Can't win no wars without it. Nowadays, without it, you can't even lose no war. I mean, what jerk wants to fight for nothing? God bless America. Money talks, baloney walks. Walk? I can't afford to walk. I still got payments on the car. Do not have a heart. We need that gasoline. Them Arabs got their own problems, fighting with themselves. Why should we join in and spoil the fun? I mean, I'm patriotic. My landlord raised the rent so I could plant a tree. And I got a tree growing in Tel Aviv. And I ain't even Jewish, Jimmer. I'm living in foot washing, Northern Baptist, Pentecostal Holy Rose. Praise the Lord, brother. Hallelujah. How about you, brother? How about you, see that? Menachem, peace be unto you and the Middle East. I don't want to walk. I'm too fat.
Yeah, Ronald.
Menachem, thank you. Thank you.
Richard, in 2 days, I think, it's September the 13th, America's getting the premiere of Dragon Wars, which is a Korean film that's been 3 years in the making and cost 70 million. It's the most expensive Korean film ever made. And it's got great special effects. It looks great. The trailer looks great. If it's either Dragon Wars or Wars.
Oh, wow.
And the opening, it looks like sort of Lord of the Rings, and then it's sort of set in some medieval times, and then it cuts to modern day Los Angeles, and there's all these shots of dragons and huge snake things wrapped around skyscrapers, and it looks great. And it's got quite a big release in the States. I think it's on like nearly 1,700 screens. Yeah, and I'm down to see it. I've been reading about it online for 3 years. So if you get a chance to see Dragon Wars, that'd be interesting. Are you looking at it online now?
Yeah, I was just looking it up. It does look good.
Yeah, the effects look great, don't they?
Yeah, no, it does look quite good.
Well, that has its premiere in 2 days. But like I say, it's been 3 years. Most expensive film ever made in Korea. But there's been some great films out of Korea recently. Old Boy, don't know if you saw that, but if you didn't, you should definitely see Old Boy. It's one of the best films I saw last year. There's a war film called, I think it was Two Brothers. That's quite good. Very violent, a bit like all the war scenes are a bit like Saving Private Ryan, and yeah, some really exciting films coming out of Korea, of which D Wars will be one.
Yeah, I saw one. I think it's a fairly old film called Silk, which I believe is Korean. I'm sure somebody will email us and correct us if it's wrong. It's a sort of ghost story about trying to capture a ghost to capture the energy of a ghost.
Yeah, there's a lot of ghost stories, a lot of sort of traditional ghost stories given a modern setting, and just really sort of simple, spooky stuff like ghosts stood in corridors, or ghosts looking at people, or ghosts being glimpsed in the lightning. But it's still really frightening. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Our Point is another one that I saw, which is another Korean War film about a platoon that's sent to an island to find another platoon that's gone missing, and that's quite spooky. And once they get there, this island is sort of inhabited by ghosts, but you don't know that they're ghosts. But when they start sending radio messages back to their superiors saying, look, we're at the island, and we're doing this and we're doing that, and the superior's like, well, who's this? And he's saying it's so and so, and the superiors are saying, that what you're talking about, so and so, that's the person who's gone missing, and just really simple, like frightening stuff like that. So yeah, I've been watching a lot of Korean films. Yeah, Our Point, have a look out for that. And I think there's one called Speak to Me as well, which is a serial killer one, but I haven't seen that one. I'll tell you what else came online today, the new Iron Man trailer.
I've not seen that. I was going to say I saw the trailer for the new Alien film. It's not Alien, it's Alien vs Predator.
Aliens vs Predator 2. Did you see the other Aliens vs Predator? I didn't see that.
No? The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one, yeah, I thought it was quite good.
But that was like set in the Arctic or something, wasn't it?
It's set out in the Arctic, yeah. There's a lost city discovered under the ice, which is actually like a testing training ground for young predators against aliens.
Now this, I think this other one is like set in some small town, isn't it, or something?
Yeah, it appears to be a small town where one night there's a bright light in the sky that crashes in the forest, and it's a predator that has on a couple of pods that get released in the crash, and the town folk get stuck between the aliens and the predators.
I've seen that. I've seen the trailer too. It looks good. It looks all right, actually. The trailer. It looks better than the first one did, but I didn't see the first one. But the first one looked pretty crappy to me.
It was alright. It wasn't brilliant. There's some nice little ideas in it.
How far? They can't really do anything else with those two franchises now, can they? I mean, where else can they take it? They need, unless they throw somebody else like Aliens versus Predator.
Well, there's the graphic novel that's similar. It's set in the future, like a cattle ranching planet.
Right.
That the predators seed, not knowing there's humans there. They seed it with alien eggs for like a training ground for their new warriors.
Right.
And again, it's townsfolk stuck between predators and aliens. But there's a nice sort of side story in that the main female character actually sort of basically proves herself to be such a warrior against the aliens that one of the predators sort of takes her under his wing and lets her go and sort of takes her back. And that's how that ends, and that she goes off in the ship with him to be the first sort of human predator.
What, a sort of human predator love affair?
No, not love affair, just that she's accepted as a warrior.
Well, she goes off in his spaceship with him?
Yeah.
Mm.
There's a whole little ceremony where she's branded with alien blood.
So in all the Alien versus Predator stuff, is it? So it's always like the Predators are better than the aliens, is it? Or
No, it's more that the aliens, what they use sort of to test their mettle. You know, all the young warriors have to go through this rite of passage
right?
of killing an alien,
Yeah.
and I think they have to do it like sort of basically barehanded rather than with all their guns and stuff.
Well,
That's sort of how the aliens apparently sort of spread throughout the universe. It was, it's
it was the
a
Predators.
tool they use. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'd like to see it. Maybe I should watch the first one before seeing the new one. But yeah, the Iron Man trailer. Did you used to like Iron Man, the Iron Man comic?
To be honest, I've never even read it.
Well, it's he was an interesting character, Tony Stark, who becomes Iron Man, because he was like a arms dealer, playboy, and he was an alcoholic, and selling arms and weapons, and then he gets captured, and he gets shrapnel in his heart, and he creates this little because he's a sort of genius super arms inventor, super weapons inventor. He creates this little pacemaker for himself, and they want him to create a weapon, and he creates himself like a little steel suit and bursts out of where he's captured, and then he's a changed man, and he sort of creates the classic Iron Man suit as a weapon. So then becomes a superhero. But they've cast Robert Downey Jr. in the film, who's perfect as this sort of egotistical alcoholic, and then turns it round. So the trailer looks brilliant. It looks like they've got it right, and the suits look great. The special effects look great. Stan Winston's done the practical suit, and they use a lot of practical effects in it. So yeah, I'm quite excited about that. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it. Well, they're churning the films out, Marvel, but there's Ghost Rider, and they were crap. Anyway, it's the Halloween special, so next month. So we want ghost stories. Or we if anybody wants to send us an email, say hello, podcast@electricsoupkitchen.com. But if anybody's got any ghost stories, that would be good. Or any sort of feedback. We like getting it, and we'll read it out. But anything spooky would be perfect for next month. I think we might have two listeners. Well, Oliver, the games reviewer, and Jim Conley are going out and going to try and tape some UFO stories, which will fit into next month anyway, UFO and Halloween. So I think we might have that.
That'd be good.
Yeah, but we still want more. So if there's any anything spooky, it'd be good if they could get it to us by next month. Or you could go to the web page, electricsoupkitchen.com, and leave it in the comments section. And again, we can read it out.
Yeah, because we do love to hear from everyone.
Yeah, no, it's great to get emails and a bit of context and a bit of feedback. No Barry's B-movies this month because he had twins last week, so he won't know what day of the week.
No good excuse then.
Yeah, he won't know what day of the week it is. Never mind sitting down to watch a B-movie. I don't know how you could. There's probably no excuse in between bringing up twins for sitting watching some of the worst films ever made. But maybe next month he might be able to find an excuse. All right then. Well, we'll finish with a bit more Black. This is Song to Die To. Like I said, you can find them on MySpace, Black London, or you can find them on their webpage, www.blackblack.us. Richard, I will talk to you next month, hopefully live from a haunted house.
Oh, that'll be good.
Well, we'll see how it goes. It's not definite yet, but if I can get that organised, and if I dare do it, that's what we'll do next month. All right, talk to you then.
Bye.
Bye.
solution to our condition? Could we cope just as well outside of this human cell? La da 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 da. I plan to leave. Take me away. Science deceive. I have no everyone. La da 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 da. I have no fear. It's only now. Salvation's near. It's only now. The great escape. Grace is what we're made together. La da 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 da. Music we made. Take me away. A song to save. I have no shame. If I could pick just one to play when my time has come. La da 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 da. I made my choice. It's only a lie. Come and rejoice. It's only a lie. A company. This song with me. Now we're leaving our bodies behind so completely. Finding the notes and the right bit so neatly. That's the solution. I don't wanna know. No more evolution. I don't need to know. To become something more than what's allowed in nature's law. La da 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 da. The pain and aches down on my knees. They dissipate. Our very existence without human resistance. No more resistance. The notes we play. It's only a lie. The way out they gave. It's only a lie. Follow along. Forever with this song. Sound out
Civil defense is common sense. Hi, this is Tony Bennett. Make sure you're prepared if a nuclear attack ever comes.